Negativity. It's something invading the modern lifestyle. It's something we wake up to and see on the news. It's something we hear in our conversations during the day. And it's something we see on the TV when we eat dinner or listen to politics. But is this the way things have always been? Or is this a startling new development? Are we a culture moving in a dangerous direction? The evolution of political strategy and the methodology of modern media, combined with the growing global connectivity, seem to be creating a frightening cultural cycle. The question is this: are we becoming a cult of negativity?
Newt Gingrich was a career politician selling access here in Washington, D.C.
The year that he ran for Congress in 1978, he made a grand total of $10,000. By the time he became the Speaker, he made $675,000. By the time he left Congress, he's brought his net worth up to about $7.5 million.
This is the kind of political commercial we're accustomed to seeing these days. It doesn't advocate for anything and doesn't support the actual maker of the video. Instead, it uses highly controlled pieces of audio and video to selectively deliver information at an almost deceptive level. It uses audio and video artistic devices to convey its message in an inherently negative context. If negativity is hated by viewers, then why is it so broadly used? The unfortunate fact seems to be that negativity sells, and politics are simply cashing in on it.
Gingrich received up to $1.8 million from Freddie Mac just before it collapsed. His think tank's got $37 million from the healthcare industry.
Newt Gingrich renewed his support for an individual mandate, a key tenet of President Obama's healthcare law.
Newt Gingrich has been on both sides of a long list of issues.
He went the other way when he got paid to go the other way.
Do you think voters are going to warm up to you because you're boasting about getting $60,000 a speech?
I was charging $60,000 a speech. Normally celebrities leave and they gradually sell fewer speeches every year. We were selling more.
He is the absolute symbol of that corrupt system.
Newt Gingrich. This guy hasn't got skeletons in his closets. He's got a whole graveyard in there.
It's about serial hypocrisy.
But were things always this way? Let's ask Brandon Ansel.
Everybody likes ice. The way that candidates communicate with voters tells us a lot about the politicians, but also about ourselves.
This is Senator John Kennedy.
President Johnson.
Jimmy Carter.
So it's an amazing lens on American culture and on American politics.
Interesting. So what you're saying is that the context of our political commercials is a reflection of American culture. So, in your opinion, what's the first negative commercial?
1964 was a very interesting election in that it featured a lot of attack ads. There was a famous ad called the Daisy ad. Incumbent President Lyndon Johnson had a little girl in a meadow pulling petals off of a daisy, and in the background you have the countdown, and at the end of the ad there's a nuclear explosion.
9, 8, 7.
By today's standards, it seems remarkably tame because we've seen a lot more vicious and personal attacks on individuals. But when that ad aired, it actually only aired once on network television. The public outcry was so strong that Johnson took down that ad and never aired it again.
Interesting. So I would think that after such an enormous public backlash, negative advertising would be dead in the water. But was that really the case?
Ever notice? In the 1960s, television ads became more negative, and observers started to worry about ads becoming too manipulative. And then in the 1970s, people really just played to cynicism.
So if political commercials have been using negative attacks for so long, then they must have a reason for doing it. What are some of the communicative methods they use in these negative commercials?
Bush had a windsurfing ad that basically made the point that the guy was wishy-washy. He changed his position with the wind. I mean, what politicians have discovered is nothing is ever private anymore.
Okay, so you've convinced me that negative political advertising has a history to it, but what's different about it today?
Today, everybody is a broadcaster. The goal today is to have your video go viral.
I got a crush on Obama. In 2008.
In 2008, you have the Obama girls or the McCain girls.
He's so bold
and yet demure.
What we're really seeing is the democratization of video.
So ads aren't just becoming more negative, they're becoming more omnipresent in our society. What's allowing these things to become so prominent in our culture?
We're seeing an explosion of super PACs this year owing to the Supreme Court decision, Citizens United. And so you have multimillionaires or billionaires who are writing checks to support advertising by outside groups. One of the problems is you can get a wide range of positive and negative messages. You can have outrageous attacks that are being broadcast or put into YouTube videos, and nothing can stop them. And so I think the greatest danger today is there's been a dramatic increase in factual inaccuracy in political communications.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Ensign. I'm going to sign you off now. So you see, negative ad campaigning isn't anything new, but over the years, it's become more potent, selective, and prominent in our society. We exist in a time where we can clearly see how negativity is evolving beyond simply a method of advertising. Negativity is the purpose and message that people are buying, despite their disposition to it, and the politicians are cashing in on it more and more every year. It's not something that's meant to create a steady flow of information. It's just the opposite. It's designed to attack and secure our emotional support in a negative context. Its appeal to fear and hatred is naturally fallacious and deconstructive to the flow of information, so it's no surprise that all of us, including Mr. Anson, are noticing the hazardous amount of misinformation in politics these years. It's as if politics is trying to pull the wool over the eyes of the voters. But who would know more about that than, of course,
As viewers were watching on live television late this afternoon, a car chase, police in hot pursuit of a driver, and then the driver taking his life.
We want to bring you some details on a breaking story out of Aurora, Colorado this morning. A very scary situation at suburban Denver movie theater. Apparently there has been a mass shooting.
In a little less than an hour, family and friends will gather to remember a young life cut short.
Hello again. With just 9 days to go, the October surprise is here. Hurricane Sandy threatening a massive stretch of the U.S. from Virginia to New England, all the way to the Great Lakes.
At this point, we're going to pause the video as the man ends his own life.
We're hearing from the police so far. There were a number of casualties in this matter already.
Yes, the Aurora police have confirmed with ABC News 20 injuries, 10 confirmed dead that we know of right now. One suspect has been taken into custody. Believes that there's one more suspect that is on the loose.
That crash killed 26-year-old Casey Bachholman and injured another person.
And this looks like some sort of semi-apocalyptic storm. This is not snow. This is sea foam boiled off by the ocean. The waves out there about 30 feet high just beyond the coast here.
What has become near daily fodder for cable and local news. From the O.J. Simpson slow-speed chase to the toddler bounced out of a moving SUV. Police officials say live coverage of high-speed chases is downright dangerous.
And there are reports that gunfire went from one theater to another.
Well, a lot of folks here are accustomed to hurricanes and storms of this ferocity. What they have not seen is this cold combined with it. It is absolutely cold out there. And hour after hour, Sam and George, it has been getting colder.
And what's more, viewers want to watch these scenes, which is why this classic American spectacle is not likely to disappear from the air.
And we really messed up. And we're all very sorry. That didn't belong on TV. That didn't belong on TV.
what does belong on TV? Every day we look at the news, it's the same story, just put in a different way, or with a different name at the end, or within a different county. But it's all the same use of negativity to get our views. For a long time, it's been a rule in Hollywood that negativity sells. We have sex sells, we have violence sells, we have drugs sell. And what do you see in the news? Sex scandals, violence, car chases, murders, deaths. The thing about the negativity in media these days is that it's not just bad things that happen. It's two things. One, the bad things that happen are being pulled from everywhere around the world. I mean, it is very tragic, but this is something that's affecting this like 10 or so casualties that's being broadcast on a massive scale to 300 million people in the United States. And it's also the longevity of the negative advertising. These kinds of shootings you hear about for days. The shooting in this movie theater, The Dark Knight Rising, that was in the news for, what, 3 days? And the real issue we're seeing here is that negativity is taking precedence over news. Let's look at the example of 9/11 was a huge event. It affected the world, not just the United States of America, the world. But how long did it stay in the news? A long time. There are positive events that happen globally that affect the world. Scientific breakthroughs, peace treaties, some of those don't even make the news. The war on terror, there was news updates about what was going on in Iraq all the time. We had reporters putting themselves literally in the line of fire to get a story, a negative story, but because it was in the line of fire, that aspect of violence is there and it catches views. But, you know, you don't see people changing lives by giving to charity on news because it's boring. The constant need to grab us with excitement is creating a cycle of negativity, and it's the cycle that's worrying. It's not just the fact that negativity is in the news. Negative stuff happens, and it happens a lot. But it's the cycle of negative stuff coming in and not going out until something's there to fill its place, and it bumps out all the positivity. And we as viewers and the growing capitalist global society are feeding into this cycle of negativity, and we're feeding into it because without us responding to the negativity, you know, the competing journalist places don't use it to get our attention. So since we respond to it on a global scale now, it's creating an exponential increase in the use of negativity in the media. And from what we can see right now, it's just going to keep going up as the global connectivity increases, which it is. Why is it that all of a sudden we have the capability to bring in news from across the world? Something that can happen hundreds and hundreds of miles away and honestly have no effect on you whatsoever. The scale in which it's being represented by the media is outrageously disproportionate to the scale of relevance it has on our society. You see a phenomenon in the modern culture when it comes to negativity. We have the capability now for things to go viral. Our culture has the ability to associate itself on a global scale with something that's mundane because we're connected on such a global, international level. In order to truly look at this modern phenomenon, we have to really look at the global culture. It's not just that negativity sells. It's that we have the abilities to sell negativity on a global scale that was unprecedented before. And it's truly a phenomenon that can only be observed in our modern culture.